After being reborn, I decided to do two things. The first was to write my fiancé Fu Zijing's beloved, Zhao Rui, into the marriage registration form and let those two shameless cheats have each other. The second was to take all my savings and head south to start a business in my past life. Fu Zijing felt sorry for his childhood sweetheart, Zhao Rui, and secretly took the money I had scraped and saved for 5 years to buy her a house instead of using it for our wedding, more than 20 years. Later, Zhao Rui became a multimillionaire thanks to a housing demolition payout, and I lived in the countryside in a shabby, drafty house, scruffy and worn, dutifully caring for Fu Zijing's bedridden, paralyzed mother and raising 2 children. The day I worked myself to death, Fu Zijing was in a big city, dressed to the nines, holding flowers and celebrating Zhao Rui's 50th birthday. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn. People came and went through the staff dormitory, seeing me. Hurrying inside, everyone who knew me took the initiative to talk to me. Lame, I ran into Engineer Fu on the street today. He was buying a ring at the jewelry store. He's getting it ready for your wedding, right, mister? Fu is educated, handsome, and knows how to appreciate romance. You're so lucky to be married to him. It's enough to make anyone jealous. No kidding. There really aren't many people like Mr. Fu. So caring and loyal. Ha, Fu Zijing's kindness and devotion were all for Zhao Rui. As for me, he only saw me as a maid he could summon at will, dismiss when he liked, and work to the bone without complaint. After all, I was that old maid who loved him so deeply, always thinking of him first and taking his every word as gospel. With me around, he had nothing to worry about. I didn't answer them. I just quickly made my way through the crowd and went home. After closing the door, I headed straight for the room I lived in and opened the box beside the bed. Inside was a familiar tin box, which I reached out to open. Neatly stacked cash came into view in the tin box, and I let out a breath. Thank goodness, there was still time. I picked up the money in the tin box and counted it carefully, not a bit more or less, exactly 5,000 yuan. This was the salary I had saved up over 5 years of hard work, pinching pennies, and living frugally. In my past life, I was so frugal I wouldn't let myself eat well or dress well, pinching every penny and saving this money with the dream of marrying Fu Zijing, having children, and living a happy, fulfilling life. But how did Fu Zijing treat me? Behind my back, he secretly used that money to buy a house for his childhood sweetheart, Zhao Rui. Afraid I'd learn the truth and make a scene, he even lied to me, saying the money had been stolen by a pickpocket on his way to buy wedding supplies. I didn't doubt a word Fu Zijing said and even comforted him, telling him that if the money was gone, we could always earn more. Later on, when Fu Zijing's mother fell down the stairs and broke her leg, Fu Zijing said she was ill and needed someone to look after her. Seeing his urgency, I took the initiative to quit my job and go back home to care for her. But no sooner had I gone back to the countryside to care for Fu Zijing's mother than Zhao Rui had already taken my job. While I was in the countryside serving Fu Zijing's mother, cleaning up her urine and feces, Fu Zijing was in the city, all lovey-dovey with Zhao Rui. Later, Fu Zijing was transferred to work in a bigger city, and he took Zhao Rui along to enjoy the good life. As for me, his wife, he didn't think of me at all. I spent half my life taking care of my mother-in-law and raising 2 children. I was nearly 50 and thought I could finally enjoy life, only to find out that Fu Zijing had been keeping a whole other family behind my back with Zhao Rui. If Zhao Rui hadn't come back later to sell the house and smugly told me the truth, I never would have known Fu Zijing's true colors even to my dying day. Now that I know the truth, I'll never marry Fu Zijing in this life. I'm taking my money and getting out of here. I took the money out of the tin box, tucked it into my clothes, and headed out. Since I was planning to head south to do business, I had to go check the train tickets first. I headed straight for the train station, and along the way I saw Fu Zijing and Zhao Rui walking arm in arm out of a shop, carrying big bags of stuff too. When I saw Fu Zijing and Zhao Rui, I quickly slipped into the shop next door to avoid them, but I never expected the two of them to follow me in. Fu Zijing was there with Zhao Rui to buy things. Right now, his eyes were glued to Zhao Rui, and he didn't notice me at all. The two of them were picking out things at a counter some distance away from me. As she picked things out, Zhao Rui asked Fu Zijing in a sweet, teasing voice, "Brother Fu, if you give me Sister Lame's job, will she agree?" "Wasn't my job." Only handed to Zhao Rui after Fu Zijing's mother broke her leg and I quit. Could it be that in my past life, Fu Zijing had already planned to have me resign so Zhao Rui could take my job? I was utterly shocked, and my gaze turned to Fu Zijing. A gentle smile appeared on Fu Zijing's ice-cold face, and his voice was soft too. "She'll have to agree whether she wants to or not. Don't worry, I've already thought of a way." In my previous life, whenever Fu Zijing spoke to me, he was always all Business, keeping that deadpan face. I had always thought that was just his personality. I never realized that the reason he wasn't gentle with me was simply because I wasn't the one he wanted. Hearing Fu Zijing say that, Zhao Rui's face lit up with a smile. Thank you, brother Fu, you've been so good to us, mother and child, it's what I should do. Hearing Fu Zijing say that, Zhao Rui rolled her eyes and put on a pitiful look. Brother Fu, Xiao Jiang and I are new here, and it wouldn't be right to keep troubling you. If we could just have somewhere to stay, that would be wonderful. Zhao Rui bit her lip, looking so pitiable that anyone would feel sorry for her. How could Fu Zijing bear to refuse her? He comforted her gently. Don't worry, I'll figure something out about the house for you. What can you figure out? You can only stay in the dorm yourself right now. Zhao Rui's heart-tugging expression was enough to make not just Fu Zijing, who liked her, but any ordinary man unable to refuse her. After thinking for a moment, Fu Zijing finally said, I've already made arrangements for the housing issue. Lamei's father was a veteran worker at the factory, and since he passed away on duty, the factory leaders decided to offer Lamei a subsidized 3-bedroom apartment as a priority purchase. I've already decided, the right to buy that place will be given to you. The surprise in Zhao Rui's eyes was impossible to hide. Really, but Sister Lamei probably won't agree. Will she? Just don't tell her, Fu Zijing replied lightly. That's not really appropriate, is it? Zhao Rui said it wasn't quite right, then changed her tune. But brother Fu, I just got here and don't have any money on me. I still have to support a child. Even if the apartment is put in my name, I can't afford to pay for it. Fu Zijing was completely taken with Zhao Rui's delicate, clingy little girl act. Don't worry, I'll figure out the money for the house. Just wait comfortably. Hearing Fu Zijing say that, Zhao Rui instantly broke into tears and laughter. Thank you, brother Fu, you've been so good to us, mother and son, Xiao Gang and I will never forget your great kindness for the rest of our lives. There's no need to be so polite between you and me. The two of them picked out household goods and left side by side, never once noticing me not far away. I never expected Fu Zijing to go this far for Zhao Rui. It turned out that the bargain-priced apartment Zhao Rui bought in my previous life was one the factory had allocated to me as compensation after my father died on duty, and Fu Zijing had secretly taken matters into his own hands and handed that apartment over to Zhao Rui behind my back, paying for it with the money I had painstakingly saved for our wedding. He used my money to buy my welfare apartment, while Zhao Rui didn't spend a single cent and reaped all the benefits. Just how deeply in love with Zhao Rui was Fu Zijing. If they hadn't taken advantage of me, I might have been tempted to sing their great love to the heavens myself right now. The only thing on my mind is those 3 words, adulterous couple. 3. I had originally planned to go to the train station to buy a ticket, but after hearing what Fu Zijing said, I immediately changed my mind and headed straight to the factory to find the manager. When I explained why I was there, the manager was surprised. You and Engineer Fu are getting married soon, so we didn't come to you directly about this and instead spoke to Engineer Fu. He said he would get the documents ready for you to sign and then submit them. But we've already urged him several times and he still hasn't prepared them. Hearing the manager's words, I suddenly remembered something that had happened in my past life. Around this same time in my last life, Fu Zijing had come home with a document for me to sign. Could that document have been the housing compensation paperwork in my past life? I believed Fu Zijing and signed my name without even reading the contents. That was what gave Fu Zijing an opening. This time, I was going to strike first. I told the manager, he is he, and I am me. This is the factory's compensation for my father, and it can only go to me, his one and only daughter. Fu Zijing and I aren't even married. He's just an outsider. He has no right to make decisions for me. I'm handling the housing matter myself. The leader agreed that what I said made sense and gave me another set of home purchase paperwork to fill out. Since time was of the essence, I filled out the forms right away, paid the 2,000 yuan housing deposit on the spot, and got the key to my own home in this life. If Zhao Rui and Fu Zijing want to scheme for my house, they can keep dreaming. I tucked the new house key in my pocket, ate a big bowl of steaming wontons at a roadside shop, and then headed back to the staff dormitory. Fu Zijing was already back and sitting in the living room with a grim face. After I set the wedding date with him, I gave Fu Zijing a key to my dorm room, and he gave me one to his. Before this, Fu Zijing and I had stayed out of each other's way. Now that Zhao Rui and her son had come, Fu Zijing felt sorry that they had nowhere to stay, so he took the initiative to let them live in the dorm room where he had been staying. As for him, he moved into the other empty room in my dormitory. Seeing that I was back so late, Fu Zijing was very unhappy and asked me sharply, "Young Lama, where have you been? Why are you only getting back now? If this were any other day, I would have already rushed over to him like a little lapdog the moment he frowned. Today, I replied coldly, I went out to take care of a few things. Fu Zijing let out a scornful laugh. What kind of things could you possibly have to deal with? I ignored Fu Zijing and turned to go back to my room. Fu Zijing was tall, handsome, and well-educated, a factory engineer. I loved him to the core and had always gone to the extreme of flattering and fawning over him. He had never been made to feel frustrated around me before, and my attitude left Fu Zijing feeling completely blocked up and pent up. Seeing me head into my room without a care, he was naturally seething with anger and immediately got up to follow me in. Young Lame, what, are you on edge today? And by the way, I'm asking you, how come all the money you saved is gone without a trace? So while I was out, he had already gone through the box where I kept my money. I looked at him with a cold smile. You went through my box, Fu Zijing. What do you mean by rifling through my things without permission? I loved Fu Zijing and foolishly gave him everything I had, unconditionally. Fu Zijing had long since started treating my money and everything I owned as if it were his personal property. He never expected I'd come back at him like that, and Fu Zijing's face instantly turned red. I wasn't thinking we're getting married soon and need to buy wedding things. Haven't you saved up quite a bit of money? I just thought I'd use it first. In my previous life, he used the very same excuse to trick my money away and hand it to Zhao Rui, and in this life, he was trying the same old trick again. He really had no shame. I said coldly, if you're buying wedding things, use your own money. Why are you rummaging through my boxes? What, are you not planning to spend a dime on this wedding and expect me, a woman, to pay for it? Aren't you afraid people will laugh at you if this gets out? My tone and attitude enraged Fu Zijing. Having never been made to swallow his pride before, he shouted right away, Young Lame, what kind of attitude is that? I looked at the humiliated and furious Fu Zijing coldly. What, did I say something wrong? In this factory, when anyone gets married, doesn't the groom's side pay? Why is it that when it comes to us, I'm supposed to use my money? Are you even a man? Fu Zijing was so thoroughly put in his place by me that he had nowhere to hide, and he slammed the door and stormed out. I closed the door and checked the room. It had clearly been searched, and looked like a mess. Fu Zijing must have been rummaging around in my room looking for money. Luckily, I had reincarnated early and got there first, taking the money away. Otherwise, I would have fallen into his trap again. Fu Zijing didn't come back that night, and I didn't bother with him either. I knew Fu Zijing was waiting for me to go to him and beg him. After all, in my previous life, let alone pushing back against him, I had never even spoken to him in a harsh tone. Being talked back to like that all of a sudden, his pride couldn't take it. Slamming the door and storming out was his way of showing his attitude. Fu Zijing must be waiting for me to coax him the way I used to, humbling myself like before, but this time, he was thinking way too much. I didn't care where Fu Zijing had been last night. Chances were, he was just with Zhao Rui. Fu Zijing liked Zhao Rui that much. He'd even go through fire and water for her. If I step aside now and make way for Fu Zijing and Zhao Rui, he should be delighted. He'd definitely take the hint and end up all lovey-dovey with Zhao Rui, but I was wrong. The next morning, Fu Zijing actually came back on his own. Fu Zijing brought breakfast, steamed buns, youtiao, and soy milk, still steaming hot on the table, and when I came out after washing up, he even greeted me with a smile. Lame, time for breakfast, no point in turning down a free meal. So I sat down by the table, grabbed a steamed bun, and started eating. Fu Zijing kept sizing me up, but I had no intention of talking to him. I just kept my head down and ate. Seeing that, Fu Zijing had no choice but to speak first. Lame, I was out of line yesterday. I'm sorry. Is the sun rising in the west or what? I looked up at him with a mocking smile. A flicker of embarrassment crossed his face, but he still kept going. Something came up in my colleague's family and she needed money, so I lent her all the money I had set aside to buy our wedding things. That means we'll have to use your money for the wedding purchases now. If I were still the young Lame from my previous life, the one who had only eyes for Fu Zijing, I would have believed his made-up lies without a second thought, but I had already been completely transformed. I sneered inwardly, knowing he was lying. He just wanted to trick me out of my money to buy a house for his beloved, Zhao Rui. It's not like only Fu Zijing can lie. Young Lame, can lie too. I swallowed the bun and took a big gulp of soy milk, letting a hurt expression settle on my face. I was in a bad mood yesterday. It wasn't without reason. I went shopping yesterday and my money got stolen. So what? Fu Zijing shot to his feet, losing his composure. The excuse I came up with was the very same one he had used to lie to me in my previous life. In my past life, I chose to believe his lies. But this time, Fu Zijing looked at me with a suspicious expression. He didn't believe me at all, but he couldn't find any reason to suspect me. After all, I had always obeyed him without question and revered him like a god. Fu Zijing didn't think I would lie to him if he couldn't get money from me. Then he couldn't buy a house for Zhao Rui in this day and age. A monthly salary is only a little over 100 yuan, so 2,000 yuan is no small sum. He wouldn't be able to borrow that much money on short notice. Fu Zijing angrily stormed out and slammed the door again. I ignored Fu Zijing's futile rage and went to the factory after breakfast. I was planning to leave here and head south to start a business, so naturally I didn't want this job anymore. But even if I didn't want it, I wasn't going to let Fu Zijing and Zhao Rui, that shameless pair, have it for nothing. I planned to give up the job and make some money from it. The factory is doing pretty well these days, and there are plenty of people eager to pay for a job. When word got out that I was going to give up my job, several people who wanted it came to talk to me and ask about the price. I didn't ask for much, and in the end we came to an agreement. He was planning to get a job for his wife, but he didn't have any money on hand, so he had to go back, talk it over with her, and then borrow some more. After making an appointment with him, I headed back to my place in high spirits. Just after I sat down and took a sip of water, Zhao Rui came over. 6. Zhao Rui had clearly come on purpose to get under my skin. She sashayed up to me with her hips swaying like a snake's and proudly told me, "Sister Lame, Brother Fu spent the whole day with me yesterday helping me buy the things I needed. I didn't bring any money, so everything was paid for with his salary. He also said that since I'm new here and don't have money to live on, he'll give me half of his salary to use in the future." In my previous life, Zhao Rui had said these very same words to my face. I was furious. Trembling with anger, I called Zhao Rui shameless and started making a scene with Fu Zijing. In the end, I didn't gain anything at all, and instead Fu Zijing became more and more irritated with me. In this life, Zhao Rui pulled the same stunt again, and I didn't react at all. My eyes fell on Zhao Rui, and I realized the brand new clothes she was wearing looked very familiar. Could these be the clothes I bought for my wedding? When did Zhao Rui take my clothes? Seeing that I ignored her provocation and only kept staring at the clothes she was wearing, the smug look on Zhao Rui's face grew even stronger. I knew I didn't bring many clothes when I came here, and Big Brother Fu felt sorry for me, so he gave me your new clothes. Please don't be upset. I looked at Zhao Rui coldly. It's fine, I bought those clothes with my own money. Fu Zijing gave them to you without my permission. Taking something without asking is stealing. I'll ask him for the money myself. Zhao Rui clicked her tongue when she heard that. What are you pretending for? Do you dare ask Big Brother Fu for money? With the way you are, you should be grateful you even get to marry Big Brother Fu. Believe it or not, I can make him break up with you right now. Fu Zijing listens to you that much. What exactly are you to him? I asked with a cold sneer. Zhao Rui was at a loss for words after I pressed her, and in a fit of anger she snapped, "Who do you think I am to him? If my parents hadn't forced me to marry back then, I would have married Brother Fu for sure. It wouldn't have been your turn." "Oh, is that so? So after your husband died, you went looking for Fu Zijing, planning to rekindle your old flame with him, with no outsiders around?" Zhao Rui wasn't the least bit afraid. "Yes, that's exactly what you think." I couldn't help laughing when I looked at that shameless face of hers. "You two shameless dogs really are deeply devoted to each other. Huh, you like Fu Zijing? Fine, I'm giving him to you. Get lost. And get lost far away. Don't come here and disgust me." Zhao Rui hadn't expected me to seem like a completely different person failing to get what she wanted. She glared at me with rage in her eyes. "Just you wait, I'm waiting. After your man died, you set your sights on Fu Zijing and treated him like some sucker, didn't you? You want money, you want my job, and you even want my house. If Fu Zijing had nothing at all, would you still be fawning over him? Let me tell you, whatever you want to do has nothing to do with me. Take Fu Zijing if you want him. I don't want him one bit. I, Young Lanmei, will never let my job, my money, or my house become the stepping stone for you two shameless dogs." Zhao Rui's thoughts had been laid bare by me. Fire seemed to shoot from her eyes. Having failed to get her way, she was ready to leave, but just as she turned around, she saw someone walking into the courtyard and immediately changed her mind. The anger and resentment on her face vanished in an instant, replaced by a pitiful, tearful look covering her face. She sobbed sorrowfully. "Sister Lame, you've misunderstood Brother Fu and me. We're just like siblings. We're absolutely not in the kind of relationship you're talking about." 7. As soon as she finished speaking, tears started streaming down her face, and I didn't even need to look to know Fu Zijing was back. Sure enough, Fu Zijing appeared at the door right behind her. Seeing Zhao Rui in such a state, he felt sorry for her and, without bothering to find out what had happened, barked at me angrily. "Young Lame, what have you done now? Sister Lame said I'm after your money. She doesn't want to give me the job or the house, and she even accused me of having an improper relationship with you. Zhao Rui told Fu Zijing everything I had wanted to say, word for word, like emptying a whole basket of beans. Hearing that Zhao Rui had even taken the initiative to bring up the job and the house, Fu Zijing's expression turned ugly. He had never intended to expose his dark little schemes in front of me. Now that his thoughts had been so brutally laid bare, he felt utterly humiliated. Fu Zijing, after feeling ashamed and furious, snapped at me in a rage. Young Lame, you've gone too far. Apologized to Rui. I had long known that Fu Zijing was cruel, heartless, and disloyal to me, and I had long known that he had been using me all along. Even so, I still felt my eyes sting red with tears when he unquestioningly took Zhao Rui's side. A lifetime of love, a lifetime of devotion, a lifetime wasted, just for a man like this. How worthless I was. I wept for the pathetic ignorance of my past self in my previous life. Seeing my eyes turn red, Fu Zijing looked a little stunned, then hurriedly gestured for Zhao Rui to leave. At a loss for what to do after Zhao Rui left, he closed the door and sat down across from me. Lame, let's have a proper talk. I wiped away the tears from the corners of my eyes and looked at him coldly. Fu Zijing rarely took the initiative to explain. Lame, I have nothing going on with Rui, there's absolutely nothing between us. I just feel sorry for her. You know how pitiful her situation is right now. Her husband is gone, and she has children to support. I just want to help her. If I hadn't gone through what happened in my past life, I would have believed his explanation, but no matter how much he said, it was useless. I kept staring silently at Fu Zijing. Fu Zijing had never seen me like this before. After a brief hesitation, he came over and took my hand. Lame, I wasn't trying to hide the housing matter from you on purpose. Rui and her child had nowhere to live, and it wouldn't look good if word got out that they'd been staying in my dorm all this time, so I thought I'd first arrange a house for Rui to move into. That way, you wouldn't keep being upset with me because of her. How noble and righteous that sounds. But why should I give up a house that was originally mine for Zhao Rui? I asked him word by word. Zhao Rui and I are strangers to each other. Why should I give up my own house for her to live in? Fu Zijing was instantly at a loss for words. After a long while, he said, Rui grew up with me. Her parents once helped me, so I have to repay her. If you want to repay her, then do it yourself. Why drag me into it? If I remember correctly, you've already given her quite a bit of money, haven't you? And you even promised to give her half your salary. Isn't that enough to pay back the favor? Repaying a favor isn't as simple as paying back money. Lame, can't we just help Rui this once? I'm begging you. Okay, no. I turned down Fu Zijing's request. He hadn't expected me to be so stubborn. Fu Zijing grew angry. We're getting married any day now. Once we're husband and wife, everything belongs to the family, and the husband leads while the wife follows. You have to do as I say, and if I don't, if you won't listen to me and won't give the house to Rui and her son, then don't even think about marrying me. 8 at last, Fu Zijing said the words he had long wanted to say to me. In my past life, after my father died, I had always been deeply attached to Fu Zijing, treating him as my salvation. What I feared most in that life was Fu Zijing bringing up a breakup. Even more than that, I feared him not wanting me anymore. So even though I knew he and Zhao Rui were getting too close and their relationship was far from normal, I still swallowed my pride and bitterness and kept it all inside. I always thought that if I was obedient enough, kind enough, and gave him everything I had, Fu Zijing would understand how I felt. Then he would take pity on me and treat me well. Unfortunately, the young Lame from her past life never lived to see that day. She died on that cold, lonely winter night, exhausted and in pain. The young Lame of this life would not be so foolish. I looked at Fu Zijing for a long moment, then slowly said, fine. Then we won't get married. Fu Zijing hadn't expected me to say that. For a moment, he stood there flustered and at a loss, staring at me. I looked at Fu Zijing coldly. Since we're not getting married, you don't need to stay here with me. Move your things out right away. Fu Zijing stared at me in complete shock, looking as if his brain had short-circuited. No wonder Fu Zijing was so stunned. How could the young Lame from her past life ever have spoken to him like this, let alone kicked him out? Young Lame had given him everything, even her life. Since we'd already fallen out, I didn't want to spend even one more minute under the same roof as this heartless man. I threw all of Fu Zijing's things out of the room and dumped them at his feet. The shock and disbelief on Fu Zijing's face turned to panic. Once he was certain I wasn't joking and that I really was throwing him out, he fled in a panic. After things had been said that far with Fu Zijing, given his pride and self-respect, I thought that was the end of it between us. I had simply underestimated Fu Zijing's determination to help Zhao Rui for the woman he loved. He was willing to do anything, including threatening and smearing me to force me to give in. 3 days later, after buying my train ticket south and returning, I was ready to sell off my job to the person I'd negotiated with and leave. Then something unexpected happened in the courtyard. I ran into Zhao Rui's son, Xiao Gang. The moment Xiao Gang saw me, he charged at me with clear hostility. I had no idea what he was trying to do, so I instinctively stepped aside. Xiao Gang crashed hard to the ground with a loud thud, hitting his head and quickly starting to bleed. Without thinking, I instinctively reached out to pull him up, but that brat actually grabbed my hand and bit down hard on it. The pain made me fling him away with all my strength, and Xiao Gang fell to the ground again. He let out a blood-curdling scream, crying, "Yang Lame hit someone." Hearing Xiao Gang's shrill cries, Zhao Rui rushed over at once. She didn't even pay attention to Xiao Gang and grabbed my hand, shouting, "Yang Lame, what gives you the right to hit people?" Zhao Rui screamed and cried, accusing me, while Xiao Gang clung tightly to my legs. The former colleagues who saw this all rushed over to ask what happened, and Zhao Rui and her son kept insisting that I had hit someone. At the time, there was no one else around when it happened, only Xiao Gang. Everyone's expression toward me changed, and Zhao Rui cried shrilly that they should take me to the police station. I naturally denied everything I hadn't done, and while the commotion was still going on, Fu Zijing showed up. Fu Zijing stopped Zhao Rui from calling the police to have me arrested. He said he would handle it himself and wanted to have a proper talk with me. By now, I had probably figured out why Fu Zijing and Zhao Rui, the mother and son, had teamed up to frame me. 9. Sure enough, the first thing Fu Zijing said to me was, "Xiao Jing is injured, and there are both witnesses and evidence. You can't get away with it, and the police will definitely arrest you." I looked at Fu Zijing quietly. He felt ashamed under my gaze and lowered his head before continuing, "I can persuade Rui not to call the police. You won't be arrested for intentional assault or get a criminal record, but you need to show some sincerity. Promise me one thing." Watching Fu Zijing, head bowed and speaking so clearly, I felt completely chilled to the bone. I had long known they were birds of a feather, despicable and shameless, but I never expected them to scheme against me so utterly crazily. I really was too naive. I thought that stepping aside and letting them have their way would let me come out unscathed, but I never expected that, since they had an agenda all along, how could they possibly be willing to let go? I was furious with myself for being so careless and stupid. Fu Zijing was willing to be an accomplice for the sake of Zhao Rui and her child. Things had come to this, and I had no other choice. I didn't want a criminal record, didn't want to waste my energy, and didn't want to keep tangling with those two worthless people. My voice hoarse, I said, "You can forget about the house. I'd rather die than give it to Zhao Rui, that was bought with my dad's life." Fu Zijing was silent for a moment before saying, "The house can be left out, but your job has to go to Rui. Don't worry, we'll still get married as planned, and I'll support you from now on." He probably thought I was desperate to marry him. Hearing him say that only made me feel disgusted. I felt sick just being around Fu Zijing for another minute. Luckily, I'd long stopped wanting to marry him, long stopped wanting that living hell of a life. Getting away from Fu Zijing, that scumbag, was the most urgent thing I needed to do now. After weighing everything, I agreed, "Fine, give the job to Zhao Rui, you can leave now." My agreement didn't make Fu Zijing as happy as I expected. He even reached out to hug me. "Lame, I'm sorry you had to go through this. Don't worry, after we get married, I'll treat you well. I'll never let you be wronged." He probably thought he was some kind of romantic hero. I held back my disgust and dodged Fu Zijing. I reminded him again, coldly, "You can leave now." Fu Zijing didn't leave. He even had the nerve to say he had nowhere else to stay and moved into my guest room. I knew he was no good. I knew he and Zhao Rui were both shameless, despicable scum. To stop them from causing trouble again, I had no choice but to play along anyway. I'd already bought my train ticket. In 5 days, I'd be able to leave this place and never have to see that disgusting pair of losers again. 10. Fu Zijing seemed like a different person, no longer so haughty and superior. He busied himself every day making breakfast, lunch, and dinner, trying to win me over, but now all I feel when I see him is disgust and revulsion. Fu Zijing even took the initiative to buy candy and cookies to please me, and asked me about the details of the wedding. Maybe he'd finally had a change of heart. He no longer spent all day hovering around Zhao Rui, doting on her and fussing over her, and instead just circled around me every day. Even when I gave him the cold shoulder, he didn't mind. He discussed the wedding banquet with me, which guests to invite, and what dress I should wear for the wedding. On the surface, he seemed to genuinely care about this marriage, but I felt no warmth at all. I'd already suffered enough in my previous life, and there was no way I would believe that Fu Zijing, that scumbag, would ever change his ways. My response to Fu Zijing's attentive efforts was just a few icy words, "You figure it out." These were the same cold words Fu Zijing had once said to me in my previous life when I was painstakingly preparing our wedding, and now I was giving them right back to him. Fu Zijing's expression was complicated, but he quickly went back to trying to please me as he spoke. "Lame, this is our marriage application. I've already signed it, and now it's waiting on you. Once you sign it, let's go get our marriage certificate today." I looked at Fu Zijing's eager demeanor and curled my lips. "Put it over there. Our wedding is in 3 days. We can't drag this out any longer. It's best if we get the marriage certificate today." I didn't know why Fu Zijing was so determined to get the marriage certificate with me to avoid any accidents. I didn't want Fu Zijing to see what I was really thinking, so I said lightly, "You go ahead and take care of your business first. I'll sign it and go get the marriage certificate myself." I had been very cold toward him these past few days, so my sudden cooperation left Fu Zijing pleasantly surprised. "All right then, I'll go deliver the invitations first, you sign it, and then we'll go get the certificate together." Fu Zijing left happily with several invitations in hand, while I held the marriage application and let out a cold laugh just as I was about to tear it up and throw it away. Zhao Rui showed up at my door again. 11 Over the past few days, Fu Zijing hadn't gone to see Zhao Rui. No matter what she tried, she still couldn't get him to leave. Fu Zijing's change in attitude made Zhao Rui unhappy, so she seized the opportunity to come provoke me while he was no longer taking the initiative to come see me. "Young Llama, things have come to this and you're still hanging on to Brother Fu. You really have no shame, do you?" I looked at Zhao Rui with a fake smile that didn't reach my eyes. "You're the one who needs to learn a thing or two about shamelessness. After all, Fu Zijing and I are, at least in name, an engaged couple, unlike you, with no status at all, clinging to Fu Zijing all day just to try and wreck someone else's marriage." My words hit right on the mark and made Zhao Rui furious. She stared at me with vicious resentment. "You don't actually think you've won, do you? I'm warning you. If you know what's good for you, break off the engagement with Brother Fu right now, otherwise, you'll be in for a world of trouble later, and if I don't." "Zhao Rui, I know you want to marry Fu Zijing. He's an engineer now, making over 100 yuan more a month than ordinary workers, and his future is bright. You want to replace me, but why should I make it easy for you?" I looked at Zhao Rui with a cold laugh and deliberately lifted the marriage application and shook it at her. Zhao Rui's expression changed when she saw the marriage application, and a look of unwillingness flashed in her eyes. "Young Llama, Brother Fu doesn't like you at all. How could he possibly marry you? Everything he's endured is for my sake. Is that so? If he likes you that much, why does he insist on marrying me? Why doesn't he marry you?" "That's because Brother Fu can't bear to see me suffer. I might as well tell you, the idea to frame you through Shaogang was Brother Fu's. He had already planned to give your job to me. Before, Brother Fu wanted to lure you in by saying his mother was ill and needed care, but he didn't expect you to suddenly become a different person. He had no choice but to think of using Shaogang to frame you." Zhao Rui had no fear at all. She didn't think much of me and told me everything. "Big Brother Fu promised to marry you just for your house, your money, and your salary. If he didn't have an ulterior motive, he would never treat you like this. He told me himself that he doesn't like you at all. He just wants to use you. After all, you're gullible, obedient, and can't bear to be without him." Zhao Rui thought I would get angry and fly into a rage, but I only felt detached. After all, I already knew what kind of man Fu Zijing was in my previous life. There was no need for her to remind me. I ended Zhao Rui's provocation with a glass of water. She left, drenched from head to toe, cursing angrily all the way out. With the noise at my ear gone, I picked up Fu Zijing's marriage registration form and looked at it again and again. I had planned to tear it up and throw it away before, but now I didn't think that way anymore. Since Fu Zijing and Zhao Rui were so deeply in love, I might as well do them a favor before I leave. I picked up the pen and signed Zhao Rui's name in the space under another name. Then I grabbed the marriage registration form and headed straight to the marriage registry office. A few minutes later, I had the marriage certificate in hand. Looking at the two names, Zhao Rui and Fu Zijing, on the certificate, I curled my lips into a smile. In this life, I'm ahead of time wishing Fu Zijing and Zhao Rui a lifetime of love, happiness, and never being apart. 12 By the time Fu Zijing came back, it was already night, and he brought me some pastries. When he came in, I was tidying up. Most of my things had already been sold, and the room and house looked rather empty. Fu Zijing also noticed something was off. He glanced around and said awkwardly, trying to start a conversation, "Lame, why does it seem like a lot of things are missing at home?" I replied flatly, "I threw away everything I didn't need." "Then why did you pack up your luggage?" "I've lost my job," and I can't keep living in this dormitory anymore. I need to make room for other coworkers, so I packed everything up and moved it to the house my dad left me. I was telling the truth, and Fu Zijing didn't suspect a thing. He warmly urged me to eat the pastries he had bought. I glanced over with a cold smile at the corner of my mouth. These pastries weren't the kind I liked, they were all Zhao Rui's favorite flavors. So, Fu Zijing, if you're going to pretend to be nice to me, at least do it properly. Okay, I was sick of it and hadn't wanted to call him out, but I couldn't hold my tongue. These pastries are all savory. I don't like savory pastries, I like sweet ones. A flicker of embarrassment crossed Fu Zijing's face. I got it wrong, Lame, it's all my fault. I'll buy you the pastries you like from now on. I said nothing and turned to go into the house. Seeing my cold attitude, a hurt expression flashed across Fu Zijing's face. He took the initiative to ask about the marriage registration. Lame, did you sign the marriage application? I signed it, and I've already picked up the marriage certificate too. Hearing that, Fu Zijing breathed a sigh of relief. What about the marriage certificate? Let me take a look. There's nothing worth seeing. I've already put it away at the bottom of the box. Digging it out again would be a hassle. Fu Zijing must have believed me, and happily went off to prepare dinner. Dinner was set out lavishly, with fish and meat dishes. Just as Fu Zijing and I had picked up our bowls, a burst of urgent knocking sounded from outside. Along with the knocking came Zhao Rui's voice. Brother Fu, Xiao Gang has suddenly started vomiting non-stop. Please come take a look. I lowered my head and kept eating without much reaction. Fu Zijing put down his chopsticks and looked at me. He didn't rush out recklessly like he used to. Instead, he looked at me carefully and said, Lame, if you're worried, then go have a look, or we can go together. I'll pass. We're not related or anything, and I'm not a doctor. Going over there would only get in the way. Hearing me say that, Fu Zijing hesitated. The knocking outside grew even more frantic, and Zhao Rui's voice turned tearful. In the end, Fu Zijing still got up and left. Lame, I'll just go take a look and be back soon. I kept eating without showing any emotion. After dinner, I cleaned up, washed up, went back to my room, and went to sleep. That night, Fu Zijing never came home. 13. The next day, I calmly moved everything I had already packed into the new house. After making several trips back and forth, I overheard people at the factory talking. They said Zhao Rui's son had been poisoned last night and had nearly died. He's still in the hospital now, fighting for his life and still not out of danger. That hadn't happened in my previous life, so I was rather curious. Why would Xiao Jiang have been poisoned? Curious as I was, I didn't dwell on it. After all, it had nothing to do with me. It took just one day to get most of the stuff moved over. Fu Zijing came back the next evening, and I was sitting alone at the dining table eating dinner. When I saw him come back, I didn't even look up and just kept eating. He walked over to the table and sat down. Xiao Gang was poisoned. It's serious. Rui is alone and scared, so I stayed at the hospital with her. I cut him off impatiently. Can you stop telling me about other people's problems? I don't care, and I'm not interested. Fu Zijing was left speechless by me. After a long while, he said, Lame, are you angry? No, there's nothing to be angry about when it comes to things that have nothing to do with me. Fu Zijing seemed about to say something else, but I had already stood up, cleared the bowls and chopsticks, and headed to the kitchen. He stood in the middle of the room, looking at me with a heavy gaze. I gave him no response and went straight back to the bedroom. We were leaving tomorrow, so I calmly washed up and lay down on the bed to rest. There was a knock at the door. I said impatiently, What is it? Lame, open the door. I have something for you. I opened the door and saw Fu Zijing standing there with a red box in his hand. He handed me the box, his face full of anticipation. Go on, open it. I opened it with no particular emotion, only to find it was a gold ring. This ring had never appeared before me in my past life, but I remembered its shape, a plum blossom shape, delicate and beautiful. In my past life, when Zhao Rui had made it big and came back to sell the house, I saw this ring on Zhao Rui's finger. Back then, Zhao Rui looked like a wealthy lady, dripping with jewelry. While I was gaunt and haggard, she held up her finger and showed me the ring on her hand. This is the wedding ring Zijing bought me. I still vividly remember the suffocation, anger, and despair I felt then. So why is this ring suddenly in front of me now? I felt no joy at all, only disgust. I looked at Fu Zijing and said, word by word, what do you mean? 14. Fu Zijing explained with a smile, this is the wedding ring I bought for you. Try it on and see if it fits. I didn't try it on. I just closed the box indifferently. Seeing my cold attitude, Fu Zijing's expression grew gloomy. I didn't want to cause any unnecessary trouble before I left, so I said lightly, if it's a wedding ring, then let's wear it at the wedding. After all, the sense of ceremony matters. Hearing me say that, Fu Zijing's face lit up with a smile. All right, I'll keep it safe and put it on you tomorrow at the wedding. The wedding, there won't be a wedding between him and me. Tomorrow's wedding will go ahead as planned, but the bride won't be me, it'll be Zhao Rui after all. Zhao Rui and Fu Zijing are now husband and wife in the eyes of the law, and I also knew Zhao Rui wouldn't let the wedding go on normally after all. While Fu Zijing was running around helping her at the hospital, Zhao Rui even found time to go home once. She stopped me and said bitterly that she would never let me marry Fu Zijing, that tomorrow's wedding would not go on as planned, and that she would do whatever it took to make sure it didn't happen. Zhao Rui thought her threat would scare me, but I just looked at her coldly and said 3 words, do whatever you want. The night passed in no time, and the next morning Zhao Rui came looking for Fu Zijing again. Once again, she used her son Xiaojing as leverage. Fu Zijing was in a tough spot. I'm getting married today. Zhao Rui dropped to her knees and planted herself at the door. Brother Fu, you were the one who told me to bring my child here and seek refuge with you. You promised to treat us mother and son well. Now Xiaojing's life or death is still unknown, and yet you're still going ahead with a wedding. How can you do this to us? Zhao Rui sobbed and called Fu Zijing away. As he left with her, he glanced back at me, standing coldly at the doorway. Lame, I'll be back in a moment. Wait for me. The wedding will go on as planned. I said nothing, only giving a meaningful smile. Fu Zijing thought I had agreed. I called after their hurried retreat, Fu Zijing, never again. I took out the marriage certificate for Fu Zijing and Zhao Rui and placed it on the table. Then I picked up the pen and wrote a note for Fu Zijing on the paper. I'm leaving, Fu Zijing. I wish you and Zhao Rui a long and loving life together. Putting down the pen and paper, I grabbed my luggage and headed straight for the train station. I arrived at the train station an hour early to wait, and time passed minute by minute. At last, ticket checking began. I carried my luggage and joined the crowd into the ticket checkpoint. After finding my seat and sitting down, I let out a breath. From this life onward, Yang Lame will never again be anyone else's appendage. I'm going to find a new life that belongs to me. As the train's whistle sounded, it slowly pulled out of the station. I gazed out through the glass window. Goodbye, the place where I've lived for more than 20 years. Just as I was taking my eyes off the view, I suddenly spotted a familiar figure running toward me at full speed. Fu Zijing, 15. After following Zhao Rui to the hospital, Fu Zijing had been distracted the whole time. Xiao Gang had been rushed into the operating room for emergency treatment, while Zhao Rui stood nearby sobbing, but Fu Zijing had no intention of comforting her. He only felt irritated. He remembered clearly that by the time he left the hospital, Xiao Gang had clearly already improved, and the doctor had said there was nothing serious. Why did it get worse again in just one night? This shouldn't have happened, should it? His gaze fell on Zhao Rui's face. Her eyes were rubbed red, yet not a single tear showed. Seeing Fu Zijing looking at her, Zhao Rui whimpered as she leaned over, reaching for Fu Zijing's hand. Brother Fu, if anything happens to Xiaojing, how am I supposed to go on? I can't live like this. As Zhao Rui leaned in, Fu Zijing instinctively shifted to the side. Zhao Rui had fully assumed that Fu Zijing would hold her, and then she would throw herself into his arms and cry while clinging tightly to him. She was determined to stop Fu Zijing and Yang Lime's wedding and ruin their marriage. Just as she was thinking that, Fu Zijing unexpectedly stepped aside. Zhao Rui was caught off guard and fell flat on her face. The pain-making stars danced before her eyes. Fu Zijing also stared in astonishment at Zhao Rui lying on the floor. Zhao Rui cried out loudly, and just as he hesitated and was about to reach out to help him, someone came hurrying down the other end of the hallway. It was an engineer surnamed Li, whom Fu Zijing had asked to help prepare for the wedding. Engineer Li was out of breath from running. Zijing, something terrible has happened. Seeing Engineer Li, Fu Zijing felt a jolt in his chest. He withdrew the hand he had been about to use to help Zhao Rui and quickly walked over to him. What happened? Did Lame get upset? No, it's not that Lame is upset. It's Lame. Lame has left. Fu Zijing thought he must have heard wrong. Where could young Lame have gone? Where could she possibly go? Both her parents are dead, and he is the only family she has left. Engineer Li handed Fu Zijing something. Take a look at this. Aren't you supposed to be marrying young Lame? Why does the marriage certificate show you and Zhao Rui? And why did Yang Lame leave you a final farewell letter? Fu Zijing snatched the marriage certificate and the letter from Engineer Li. The moment he made out the name on the marriage certificate, fury lit up his eyes. Then, when he saw Yang Lame's note, Fu Zijing bolted for the door. Zhao Rui's anguished cries rang out behind him, but Fu Zijing didn't look back. There was only one thought in Fu Zijing's mind. He had to keep Yang Lame here. No matter what, he had to keep Yang Lame here. 15 years later, I returned home in glory after carving out a path for myself in Shenzhen. Accompanied by my assistant, I returned to Jiangqing, where I had lived for more than 20 years, to invest. 15 years later, Jiangqing had changed beyond recognition and was no longer the poor, backward place it once had been. The factory from back then had shut down, and former co-workers and acquaintances had all gone their separate ways. My assistant walked with me through the streets as I gazed at the glowing lights in countless homes, and I was overwhelmed with emotion. I thought back to my former self in my 30s, working day and night in the countryside. Years of hardship had etched themselves onto my face, my hands were rough and cracked, and I didn't have a single decent piece of clothing to my name. And now, I lived in a spacious, bright villa in Shenzhen, drove a car, and ran my own company. I had married a man who cherished me, and given birth to lively, adorable children. My parents-in-law treated me like their own daughter, and my family was harmonious and happy. It all came down to the choice I made back then. Who could have imagined that two choices would lead to two completely different outcomes? As I strolled through the streets of Jiangqing, the sound of a chestnut vendor calling out to customers drifted into my ears. I turned around, and my assistant, already understanding what I wanted, called over the man selling sugar-roasted chestnuts. The middle-aged chestnut vendor was wearing a thick padded coat, and one of his legs was a little disabled. He greeted the assistant with a flattering smile, and the familiar Jiangqing accent made me feel right at home. I took the initiative and asked, "You've been living here for quite a while, haven't you?" "Yes, I'm a native of Jiangqing. I've been living here for almost 40 years. The man deftly weighed the sugar-roasted chestnuts and skillfully packed them up and handed them over. When I paid, the man looked up at me, and as our eyes met, I saw shock and disbelief in his gaze. The bag of sugar-roasted chestnuts he was handing me suddenly fell to the ground. His voice shot up, trembling with disbelief. "Why you're Lame." I looked at the middle-aged man whose face was etched with wind and frost, worn down and haggard from the burdens of life. "You know me. Who are you?" I'm Fu Zijing, 17. I stared at the man before me in shock, unable to connect this aged, haggard, disabled man with the handsome and dashing Fu Zijing. By rights, Fu Zijing was not yet 40, but he looked like a man in his 60s. Fu Zijing looked at me with a complicated expression, his lips moving. "Lame, why won't you give me a chance? Do you know I've been looking for you for a very long time?" I didn't understand why Fu Zijing was looking for me. He liked Zhao Rui so much, and I had already given him what he wanted. Shouldn't he have been happy that I'd let him have her? But Fu Zijing clearly was not acting that way. In my last life, Fu Zijing wasn't exactly someone who could have everything his way, but he later rose to become the chief engineer of a Fortune 500 company, and could be said to have enjoyed both success and prosperity. What happened in this life that kept him from going to a big city and left him here selling candied roasted chestnuts instead? Though Fu Zijing and I could be considered old acquaintances, there really wasn't anything to catch up on. Fu Zijing looked at me and was too ashamed to make small talk any longer. The gap in our social standing made him feel humiliated. He pushed his roasted chestnut cart away, limping as he went. I had no intention of prying into his affairs. Fu Zijing was just a passing figure in my life. I had already let it go. But the next day, during an investment meeting, I unexpectedly ran into the factory director. The director looked at me with a sigh and took the initiative to bring up Fu Zijing. Only then did I learn what Fu Zijing had gone through after I left. After finding out that he and Zhao Rui had obtained their marriage certificate, Fu Zijing was unwilling to simply let things slide. He wanted to dissolve the marriage with Zhao Rui, but Zhao Rui refused. In order to ruin the wedding between me and Fu Zijing, she poisoned her son, Xiao Jiang, with rat poison. The first dose of rat poison was not fatal, and Xiao Jiang was rescued at the hospital and pulled out of danger. Unwilling to accept the failure of her scheme, Zhao Rui secretly gave Xiao Gang rat poison again on the morning of my wedding to Fu Zijing. As a result, Xiao Gang was rushed to the ER and barely pulled through after days of emergency treatment, but he was completely ruined, left permanently disabled. With her son now a disabled man, Zhao Rui was dumbfounded. She had firmly believed that after I left, Fu Zijing would go along with the mistake and marry her, taking care of her and Xiao Gang. She never expected Fu Zijing to refuse. Zhao Rui then threw tantrums and made a scene, forcing Fu Zijing to take responsibility for her. Only then did Fu Zijing see Zhao Rui's true colors. Since he refused to marry her, how could Zhao Rui possibly let him off? She spread rumors everywhere that Fu Zijing had slept with her, which was why I left in anger. She wanted Fu Zijing to take responsibility for her and her useless son. Zhao Rui was determined to the death not to divorce him, and Fu Zijing still refused to agree to marry her. The once lovey-dovey couple had grown to loathe the sight of each other. Zhao Rui refused to let go of Fu Zijing and kept clinging to him relentlessly. Later, she used some means to spend a passionate night with him, and then she got pregnant. When word got out that Zhao Rui was pregnant, Fu Zijing's mother stepped in and urged him to settle down and live a good life with Zhao Rui. Fu Zijing also resigned himself to it and planned to live a good life with Zhao Rui just as the two were preparing to settle down and make a life together. An accident happened. 18 Fu Zijing's mother broke her leg, just as she had in his previous life. Zhao Rui had already given birth to Fu Zijing's child, and she was unwilling to give up her job to take care of Fu Zijing's mother the way I had done back then. Since she refused to make the sacrifice, Fu Zijing had no choice but to take leave from work to care for his mother. With no source of income and living off their savings, life became harder and harder. Zhao Rui had set her sights on Fu Zijing's identity as an engineer, hoping for a good life now. Because Fu Zijing had taken too much leave, he wasn't getting paid, and life was becoming a struggle. On top of that, since he couldn't show up to work on time, the factory had quite a few complaints about Fu Zijing. Later on, as the factory's business went downhill and layoffs began, Fu Zijing, the engineer least likely to be laid off, ended up being sent home from his job. Zhao Rui, the worker who had joined the company halfway through, was also rightly laid off. With no wages coming in and life already tight, there were 2 disabled people at home, along with a child who still needed to be fed. Zhao Rui, who had planned to rely on Fu Zijing for a good life, was completely floored. She didn't want to stay with Fu Zijing, who had little future prospects, and kept demanding a divorce so she could remarry. Fu Zijing hated Zhao Rui to the core. He believed everything that had happened to him was because of her, so he dragged things out and refused to agree to a divorce. The 2 of them had simply switched roles from before, tugging and dragging each other along. Zhao Rui was no pushover, and Fu Zijing refused to divorce, so she dumped her mentally disabled child, Xiao Jiang, and the child she had with Fu Zijing on him to look after, while she went off to the city to fool around. Zhao Rui was pretty, knew how to dress, and had a sweet, coquettish way of speaking. Soon enough, she found someone else. After that, she never went back, just stayed out there, living it up and keeping company with men. Fu Zijing, on the other hand, couldn't abandon his paralyzed mother, so he had no choice but to stay in the countryside and take care of her, occasionally doing a bit of small business on the side to make ends meet. Zhao Rui found another man and came back to demand a divorce from Fu Zijing, but he refused, determined to wear her down. The man Zhao Rui had hooked up with had some influence and broke Fu Zijing's leg. Listening to the factory director's story and thinking of Fu Zijing's weather-beaten face that I had seen last night, it was practically a living replica of my past self. I couldn't help but laugh. What goes around comes around. Whoever escapes the heavens justice. The end. Story 2. When I was experiencing morning sickness and urinary incontinence, Ji Yanchuan was at a party playing a cherry stem tying with lips kissing game with his female assistant. Even when I vomited until my stomach bled, the man still held his female assistant in his arms, passionately entangled and reluctant to part. On the way home, we got into a car accident. As soon as I was carried onto the stretcher, Ji Yanchuan coldly dragged me off. You're tough. Don't waste medical resources. After that, he carried the crying female assistant onto the stretcher. When we arrived at the hospital, everyone rushed to the emergency room to take care of the female assistant. Only I quietly walked towards the gynecology consultation desk. Hello, please arrange an induced abortion for me. I don't want the baby in my belly anymore. The next second after I changed into the surgical gown, Ji Yanchuan pushed the door open angrily. He threw a red string at my face. Lin Wan, who allowed you to give me this unlucky thing? Ji Yanchuan didn't believe in ghosts and gods. Even the amulet I begged for with thousands of steps and kowtows was sneered at by him and thrown into the fire. I picked up the marriage tying string on my body, and with a calm look, I said, I didn't give it to you. Hearing this, the man immediately snatched the red string back and couldn't wait to put it on his wrist. I knew the red string was given by Chen Lu. She had prayed for a lifetime of being a couple with Ji Yanchuan. Thinking of this, I grabbed the man's hand. Under his disdainful and defensive gaze, I tightened the loose knot of the string for him. My overly cold fingertips made Ji Yanchuan slightly distracted. He asked me why I was wearing a hospital gown. I replied nonchalantly, I'm going to have a minor operation later. Ji Yanchuan's brows furrowed. He was about to scold me for being addicted to feigning illness. The next second, he saw the nurse coming in to draw my blood. The man opened his mouth, about to ask the nurse what was wrong with me, when his phone rang in a timely manner. It was a video call from Chen Lu. The girl complained in a coquettish voice that the hospital at night was so scary. Hearing this, the man didn't even look at me and strode out. The nurse was bumped by him, causing the needle to skew and blood to spill out. Hearing my cry of pain, the man didn't look back. At this time, the doctor came in with a surgical consent form. Ignoring all the risk notices, I signed my name without blinking. Half an hour later, the operation was successful. As soon as I got off the operating table, I received a message from Ji Yanchuan. Wait for me at the hospital entrance outside. The snow was falling heavily. I, dressed thinly, sat on a plastic stool and waited for a full 2 hours. The man didn't show up. 2 nurses passed by me and chatted with smiles about what they saw in the emergency room. After working for so many years, I've really never seen a man so doting on his wife. Indeed, he not only held and coaxed her throughout the examination, but when the woman just had a red mark on her leg, the man immediately used a helicopter to transfer her to a first-class hospital. Hearing this, I opened the chat dialog box and found that Ji Yanchuan had changed his profile picture. It was a cartoon Nick Fox wearing sunglasses. It was a perfect match with Chen Lu's Judy Hopps. I exited WeChat and opened the ticket booking software. Due to the weather, the earliest flight for me to go home was 2 days later. I placed an order, paid, and confirmed the ticket. I walked out of the hospital and went home alone. At 3 o'clock in the middle of the night, Ji Yanchuan, who came back late, pushed open the bedroom door and lay down beside me. In the darkness, the man reached out to touch my pregnant belly, but I turned over and left him with my back. Ji Yanchuan impatiently clicked his tongue, got up and walked into the bathroom, slamming the door shut with a bang. In the 9 years of our relationship, whenever he showed the slightest bit of unhappiness, I would be extremely anxious and chase after him to apologize. However, tonight, after the man took a shower, he found that I was lying motionless on the bed all the time, putting on an act. Leaving this sentence, Ji Yanchuan left the master bedroom with a cold face and didn't come in again. The next morning, I saw a wine glass with lipstick marks on the coffee table in the living room. I didn't wake Ji Yanchuan up and hysterically question him about this, and that as I used to after leisurely frying an egg roll. Just as I sat down at the dining table, I heard Ji Yanchuan, who had just woken up, say, "Don't wait for me for dinner today, there's a business dinner at the company." The man opened the refrigerator and gulped down 2 mouthfuls of ice water. Suddenly, he was surprised that I neither nagged him about how ice water was bad for his stomach nor asked who would be at the dinner. Through the kitchen glass, Ji Yanchuan frowned and looked at me. "Lin Wan, are you listening to me?" After swallowing the food in my mouth, I said and continued eating. Seeing this, the man threw his black coat to me. "Your birthday gift." The coat with a sweet perfume smell just covered my flat abdomen. Under the man's gaze, I fumbled out a gift box from the coat pocket. Opening the box, there was a diamond ring inside. Before I could speak, Ji Yanchuan snatched the ring back with a sullen face. He said, "You took the wrong one, yours is on the other side." In the other pocket was an emerald brooch. I took one look at it and then pushed it back to him. Then I said politely, "The brooch is very beautiful, but unfortunately, I don't have clothes to match it. Besides, my birthday was 3 months ago. You might as well give it to Chen Lu together." After being speechless for a while, Ji Yanchuan reluctantly said, "There's a jewelry auction in a few days, you can go with me." This was the first time the man had proposed that I be his female companion in the past 6 months or so. Chen Lu had been accompanying him to various parties, even at the yacht vacation among his childhood friends. The two of them appeared hand in hand in the group photo. Recalling this, I thought it was extremely boring. "No need, I don't need anything. Are you sure?" I nodded. "It's most appropriate for Chen Lu to accompany you." My sincere words only made the man's face turn black instantly. "Lin Wan, go to the bathroom and look in the mirror right now. Take a good look at how ridiculous you look, like a jealous woman." In the past, if the man said this, I would definitely have a big fight with him, but now, I didn't even bother to argue a single word. Just as I was about to get up and go back to my room, Ji Yanchuan's phone rang. It was Chen Lu's exclusive ringtone. The girl was crying pitifully, saying that she had gone out to take out the trash and forgotten her keys. What should she do? "Brother Yanchuan, silly girl, stay where you are and don't run around. I'll come and bring you the keys right now." After hanging up the phone, the man immediately turned to leave, but I called out to stop him. "The scarf you asked me to knit last week is already done and hanging on the hanger. Don't forget to take it to her." Ji Yanchuan's face changed slightly. His mouth moved, as if he was about to say something. However, Chen Lu sent another voice message. She imitated a kitten meowing and begged her master to bring her a cup of milk tea when he came. For this, the man emptied the shopping paper bag hanging on the hanger, put the scarf in it, and left with a smile on his lips. Looking at the baby clothes discarded on the ground, I stood up and walked into the study. Ignoring the photo of Ji Yanchuan and Chen Lu on the mahogany table, I reached out to the safe with a clear goal. I tried Ji Yanchuan's or my birthday, but it was wrong. I tried our dating anniversary, but it was still wrong. It was not until I entered Chen Lu's birthday the lock finally opened. When I took out my documents from it, 2 movie tickets were brought out. They were the ticket stubs from the movie Ji Yanchuan and I watched on our first date. I tore up the memories and threw them into the trash can. I returned to the bedroom and started packing my personal luggage. In the late afternoon, Ji Yanchuan called and asked me to find a delivery person to send him a document outside. The wind and snow were raging, I put on a mink coat and went out in person, pushing open the door of the restaurant. I happened to see Ji Yanchuan and Chen Lu drinking cross-cupped wine. Because of my appearance, the cheering and whooping in the store suddenly stopped. Ji Yanchuan looked at me with a disappointed expression. The others looked at me with a playful look, waiting for me to scream and have a fit, but to everyone's surprise, I wasn't angry. I handed the document to the man and only said, "Excuse me, can I borrow the car keys? I left something in your car." Hearing this, Chen Lu took out the Porsche keys from her bag, stuck out her tongue at me, and said, "Sorry, sister-in-law, because I love to sleep in so much that I'm always late for work, so brother Yanchuan simply gave me his car to drive." "What sister-in-law? Silly girl, don't call people wrongly." Ji Yanchuan looked at Chen Lu with doting eyes and wiped the wine stains from the corner of her mouth. Following the man's words, I said, "Mr. Ji and I aren't married, Miss Chen, please don't misunderstand." After that, I picked up the keys and was about to leave, but Ji Yanchuan suddenly grabbed me, his face looking strange. "Lin Wan, you would vomit as soon as you smelled alcohol after getting pregnant. Why is it different today?" I was about to reply when Chen Lu suddenly turned pale with fright and hugged Ji Yanchuan's arm. "Brother Yanchuan, could Sister Lin Wan be going to the car to look for that pearl necklace? But I, this silly girl, have lost the necklace. What should I do?" The necklace Chen Lu mentioned was a relic left to me by my grandmother. Hearing Ji Yanchuan softly comforting Chen Lu that it was just a cheap necklace, and it didn't matter if it was lost, I put down the car keys and looked at Chen Lu without showing any emotion. He's right, it's just a cheap necklace I've worn for 9 years. Since you like it, consider it a gift for you. Walking out of the restaurant, I was about to take a taxi when the man chased after me. He stuffed a box of nourishing fish congee to me and said condescendingly, "I'll accompany you to the prenatal check-up tomorrow." I casually lied, "You got the date wrong. The prenatal check-up is the day after tomorrow." Ji Yanchuan was about to refute, but when he saw Chen Lu standing at the restaurant door, he immediately turned back, took her hand, and blew on her hands to warm her. Watching them return to the restaurant, I, who never ate fish, fed the fish congee to a stray cat and then went home. That night, the man didn't come back all night and I didn't call him even once. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, just as I put on my coat, I was taken to the car by Ji Yanchuan, who suddenly came home in the Ji family's compound. Ji Yanchuan pulled me in front of his parents. "Mom and Dad, this is Lin Wan." After a long-term relationship, Ji Yanchuan finally brought me to meet his parents, but my reaction greatly disappointed him. "Uncle and Aunt, I have something urgent. Please excuse me for leaving." As soon as I finished speaking, Ji Yanchuan grabbed my wrist and secretly exerted force. "Mom and Dad, she's joking with you. You prepare dinner, I'll take her to get familiar with the environment first." I was forcefully dragged by the man to the top floor bedroom for the so-called tour. My frequent small gestures of looking at my phone soon made the man dissatisfied. "Lin Wan, you used to keep pestering me to see the room where I grew up. Now that you've seen it, why are you suddenly silent?" It's nice." My irrelevant answer made Ji Yanchuan's brows furrow tightly. "You keep looking at your phone. Is there something interesting in it?" "No." Even though I said so, the man's face was still tense. He snatched my phone and put it in front of his face, but the screen kept showing unlocking failure. Ji Yanchuan asked me in surprise why it couldn't recognize him. I was about to speak when a clear strange sound suddenly came from outside the window behind me. What did the tall Ji Yanchuan see? Without saying a word, he left me and disappeared. 10 minutes later, following a series of silver bell-like giggles, I saw Chen Meng wearing flowers on her head in the old house's back garden. She was being carefully supported by Ji Yanchuan, playing the childish game of walking on a balance beam on tiptoe. "Brother Yanchuan, you must hold me steady." "Ah, brother, help." While playing, Chen Meng's foot slipped, and she blushed and fell into the man's arms. The two were stunned at first, and then they smiled at each other tacitly. The smile in Ji Yanchuan's eyes disappeared completely when he saw me. Why are you here, Sister Lin Wan?" Chen Meng looked at me innocently. After blinking a few times, she started to gently pound the man's chest with her small pink fist. "Oh, I know. Bad brother finally brought his ugly wife home to meet his parents. Congratulations, Sister Lin Wan." While saying congratulations, the girl's tone was tinged with a crying voice, making Ji Yanchuan purse his lips in distress. "It's just a meal. What's there to congratulate, you silly little fool?" After comforting Chen Meng, the man looked at me with extremely cold eyes. "Is dinner ready?" Before I could speak, dozens of long snakes, coming from nowhere, suddenly fell from the treetops above my head. I was so frightened that I fell to the ground. At the same time, Chen Meng let out a shrill scream. Seeing this, Ji Yanchuan didn't even look at me. He hugged Chen Meng and ran away in a hurry. It was not until the forestry personnel came to catch the snakes that the man remembered me. He returned to the tree, looked around, and was finally told by the gate security that I had already left. In the late-night airport waiting hall while waiting for the flight, my phone kept vibrating. It was not until the last minute before take-off that I pressed the answer button. As soon as the call connected, Ji Yanchuan hurriedly asked me where I was. Apparently, he had returned home and found it empty. I didn't answer him directly, only saying, "It's none of your business." He was stunned for a moment, and his tone was a little annoyed. "It's not good for the baby if a pregnant woman throws a tantrum. Stop being willful. Give me your address. I'll come and pick you up right now." Before the man could finish speaking, a sticky sound of his cheek being kissed came from the other end of the phone. Along with Chen Lu's soft laughter, Ji Yanchuan cleared his throat. Then, changing the subject, he said coldly, "Something urgent came up at the company. You take a taxi back by yourself." After that, he added worriedly, "Send me a message when you get home." After the man hung up the phone, I opened the chat dialog box and, as he wished, sent a message. "Ji Yanchuan, let's break up. I sincerely wish you and Chen Lu a happy and long-lasting relationship." As the message showed as read, I blocked all of the man's contact information and then turned off my phone. "Auntie Wan, over here, over here." As soon as I got off the plane, I saw my little niece waving her hands hard in the crowd. With a warm smile, I picked up my niece and said to my sister, "It's the middle of the night. I said you didn't need to come to pick me up. Do you think I wanted to come? It's this precious niece of yours who kept pestering to see her silly aunt." My sister reached out and hugged me. Inadvertently, she glanced at my flat abdomen with eyes full of heartache. Just as I was about to comfort her, she pinched my face first and said fiercely, disliking that I was as thin as a bamboo pole, "Starting from tomorrow, you'll have a bowl of fish maw and pig's trotter soup every day, whether you like it or not. There's no room for negotiation." "Okay, whatever you say. After all, you're my only sister." Sniffing my slightly sour nose, I got into my sister's car with my niece in my arms, and the three of us drove home, chatting and laughing. Even though it was already 4 o'clock in the morning, my parents were still waiting in the living room. After making sure that my sister and I had returned safely and seeing me drink the honey-iced tea that I loved the most when I was a child, they happily went back to their rooms to sleep. After washing up, I lay in bed. Within a few minutes, I, who usually had trouble falling asleep, fell asleep quickly and soundly. There was no pain, no more hesitation, because I had finally returned to my real home. 3 days after arriving home, my parents reserved a private room in a restaurant and informed all the relatives to hold a welcome-back dinner for me. Just as my welcome-back dinner was in full swing, filled with laughter and joy, a courier came to the door and called out my name. My little niece, who often helped my mom pick up takeout, trotted over, hugged the express box, and bounced back to my side. "Already able to read," she said in a childish voice. "Auntie, this is sent to you by a Mr. G." After thinking for a while, I finally opened the express box. Inside was a new mobile phone. Just as I was puzzled, the phone suddenly rang. Facing the concerned gazes of my family members, I instinctively picked up the phone and went to a relatively quiet corner. After hesitating for a while, I pressed the answer button. Ji Yanchuan's voice was as cold as ever. "Lin Wan, why didn't you tell me that you went back to your parents' home?" I retorted. "Why should I tell you?" After a moment of silence, the man deliberately softened his tone and said, "I've changed several numbers to contact you, but your phone has been turned off, so, I was worried about you." I, who had specifically set my phone to not answer calls from unknown numbers, blinked. "Just for this, you didn't hesitate to use illegal means to find me and send a broken phone in front of my family." I couldn't help but ask him, "Ji Yanchuan, are you out of your mind?" Over the years of our relationship, the man had never been scolded or blamed by me. Even now, even though we were separated by the phone, I could imagine how ugly his face had become. But even so, he didn't hang up the phone. "Lin Wan, you know my personality. My patience is limited. You'd better not push your luck." Interrupting the man's nonsense, I asked impatiently what he really wanted to say. Taking a deep breath, Ji Yanchuan said in a deep voice, "For the sake of the child, I won't hold this runaway against you. I bought you a plane ticket back to the city next week. I'll pick you up at the airport with Chen Lu then." Hearing this, I almost burst out laughing. "What child? The child in my belly is long gone." There was a sound of something breaking on Ji Yanchuan's side. "Lin Wan, how dare you joke about our child like this?" Lowering my eyes, I twitched the corners of my mouth and said, "I'm not joking. The child is really gone, and I really want to break up with you." Before I could finish, the man sneered dismissively. "What do you mean the child is gone? What do you mean you really want to break up?" Aren't you just trying to force me to admit my mistake? Fine, I was wrong. I was wrong for asking you to take a taxi back by yourself because of something at the company, Miss Lin. I apologize to you. Are you satisfied now? Facing the man's sarcasm, I felt no emotion in my heart, only boredom. I don't need your apology, you just need to understand one thing, that is, we've broken up. After that, I directly hung up the phone, took out the SIM card, and threw the phone and the SIM card into the trash can together. It was already 11 o'clock at night when the welcome back dinner was over. A high school best friend whom I hadn't seen for years sent me a message, inviting me for a late night drink, so I immediately went home, changed into a very figure-hugging dress, and happily went to the appointment at 1:30 in the morning in the jazz lounge, just as I was about to raise my third martini to clink glasses with my best friend again. Someone, full of anger, snatched my drink from behind. Reacting instinctively, I turned around and saw Ji Yanchuan's extremely gloomy face. Before I had a chance to ask him how he was here, the man had already grabbed my arm and pulled me up from my seat without asking, "Who allowed you to drink? You're a pregnant woman about to give birth. How dare you?" The man's accusatory words stopped abruptly halfway. His eyes stared blankly at my abdomen for a long time. Ji Yanchuan's gaze finally moved from bottom to top and looked deeply into my eyes. "Lin Wan, where's the child?" Seeing that I didn't say anything, Ji Yanchuan clenched his fists so tightly that his whole body couldn't stop shaking. His eyes were blood red, and he asked me again, unwilling to give up, "I'm asking you, where's our child?" I looked at him with a calm expression. "Gone." These two simple words were like a 1,000-year-old piece of ice, instantly freezing the man's limbs and bones. His face pale, he staggered back several steps, muttering to himself, "Impossible. This can't be possible." Looking at Ji Yanchuan's lost and dazed appearance, I couldn't help but sigh in my heart. Men are born to be good at acting. 8 months ago, when I accidentally found out that I was pregnant, I immediately took the pregnancy test stick and told Ji Yanchuan about it. My honesty and nervousness were met with the man's long silence, and the words of doubt that I would never forget in my life. "Lin Wan, are you sure the child is mine?" In the jazz lounge, seeing that I was pulling my best friend and preparing to leave, Ji Yanchuan strode forward and firmly grabbed my wrist, refusing to let me go. The man's eyes were terrifyingly blood red. "Lin Wan, I need the truth about the child, otherwise, I'll never let you go in this life." 5 minutes later, in the black car parked in a corner of the underground parking lot, the man leaned forward, wanting to fasten the seatbelt for me in the passenger seat, but I refused him impatiently. "If you want to know something, just ask here. Don't waste my time by changing places." The man was stunned for a moment, and an obvious look of hurt flashed across his eyes. He retracted his self-indulgent hand and asked me coldly how the child was gone. I asked him with a half-smile, "What do you think?" After thinking for a moment, Ji Yanchuan looked at me with regret in his eyes. "On that day at the old house when we encountered the snakes, if you had just waited there obediently and let me take you to the hospital myself, our child might have been saved." "Lin Wan, you're really too willful." Hearing this, I was even more certain that my decision to have an abortion was extremely correct. "Ji Yanchuan, you got it wrong. The child didn't die at the old house." I looked at the man expressionlessly and said indifferently, "I asked the doctor to abort the child. You were also there before the operation." Frowning fiercely, Ji Yanchuan laughed out of anger. "Lin Wan, do you think I'm stupid enough to believe this absurd lie and separate from you as you wish?" Too lazy to talk anymore, I directly turned on my phone, found the electronic medical record and payment receipt of the operation in the hospital, and clearly showed them to the man. Seeing the content on the phone, Ji Yanchuan's face visibly turned from green to white, and finally to a defeated gray. He asked me, "Why did you do this?" I said indifferently, "I'm tired." Hearing this, the man smiled miserably, looking uglier than crying. "We've been together for 9 years, we finally had a child, and we were going to get married next year." "Lin Wan, you're telling me you're tired now? Do you even know what you're saying?" Half a month ago, I had the same question for Ji Yanchuan. It was a stormy day with thunder and lightning. Ji Yanchuan accidentally soiled his suit shirt at the dinner party and called to order me to send him a new set immediately. When I, with a big belly, arrived at the door of the hotel room in a mess, I happened to hear the laughter and playful noises of him and Chen Lu coming from the bathroom. Chen Lu first giggled and complained that Ji Yanchuan was playing too much, making her whole body wet. Then she smiled and said that if I saw their playful appearance now, I might be so heartbroken that I would have a miscarriage on the spot, and it would be a disaster if both the mother and the child died. Ji Yanchuan let out a sneer and said indifferently, "Too annoying. Troublemakers, one big and one small, if they could really die together, It would be more convenient. Recalling this, I looked at the man speechlessly. Can't you understand me, Ji Yanchuan? What I mean is that I'm really fed up with you eating the same rotten dish for 9 years. Anyone would want to vomit. You're lying. Ji Yanchuan slammed the steering wheel hard, his chest heaving as he sneered at me. Everyone knows that I'm the only man you've ever dated. You once told me personally that your biggest dream was to marry me. I tilted my head slightly. You also said it was once. Hearing this, Ji Yanchuan's face turned livid, and he gritted his teeth, speechless. The reason for his speechlessness was not because of what I said, it was because of the way I talked to him, which was too calm and indifferent. A strong sense of unease and anxiety, like a poisonous snake, quietly wrapped around his heart. Trying to ignore the fear in his heart, the man narrowed his deep eyes and said to me, Lin Wan, for the sake of you being with me for so many years, as long as you come back with me obediently now, I can forgive you for this mistake and continue to plan our wedding. After all, we're still young, and we can have another child. I looked at him blankly. What wedding plan? Ji Yanchuan pursed his thin lips. Stop pretending, Lin Wan. You've been constantly causing trouble for Chen Lu behind my back and going to such lengths. In the end, isn't it just to force me to marry you as soon as possible? I was amused by him. You really misunderstand. Mr. G, I can't marry you because I don't love you anymore. What did you say? It seems you're really a bit hard of hearing. With my last bit of patience, I said to him word by word, Ji Yanchuan, I said, I don't love you anymore. Please stop this. From now on, you go your way, and I'll go mine. Let's break up peacefully. Watching me open the passenger side door and step out without any hesitation. Finally, an uncontrollable sense of anxiety appeared in Ji Yanchuan's eyes. He got out of the car right after me and said, Lin Wan, next Monday is our 10th anniversary. I looked back at him indifferently. So what? You once swore to a meteor shower that no matter how things change, even if the sea turns into mulberry fields, you would accompany me on our anniversary every year. As he spoke, the man's usually steady and cold voice couldn't stop trembling. Lin Wan, you hate people who break their promises the most in your life. I impatiently clicked my tongue, with a look of indifference between my brows. An idiotic vow made casually hundreds of years ago. Only a fool would take it seriously. Hearing me say this, Ji Yanchuan stood there stupidly for more than 10 seconds before finding his voice. Lin Wan, remember what you said today. When you regret it, even if you kneel down and beg me, I won't look back. After that, the man started the car and left. After seeing off this pest, I happily returned to my best friend's side and continued to listen to music and chat with her all night. One evening half a month later, I ran into an unexpected person in a large supermarket near my home. Brother Mullen, I called out hesitantly. The tall and handsome man had already reached out his left hand and, just like he had done countless times in the past, ruffled my hair. Shawan, long time no see. Even after all these years, Su Mullen looked at me with the same warm and deep eyes. I've known him since we were kids, as the neighbor next door big brother. He always treated me like his own little sister, always tolerating me and cleaning up countless messes for me. I couldn't help but step forward and gently punch his shoulder. With red eyes, I asked, aren't you already settled abroad? Why didn't you tell me in advance that you were coming back? I could have driven to pick you up. Su Mullen pursed his lips and smiled gently. My parents don't even know I'm back. Ah, then why did you? Your sister told me that you decided to stay with your parents and won't leave. After a pause of a few seconds, he looked into my eyes and added, so, I came back too. After saying what he wanted to say, the man didn't care about my silence. He casually took the shopping cart from my hand. He quietly accompanied me to finish shopping in the supermarket, then carried the shopping bags and, under the glow of the setting sun, walked slowly back to the community with me. When we were about to go upstairs and return home, he asked me to wait for a while. In less than 2 minutes, Su Mullen quickly came back to me. Shawan, your favorite bitter coffee candy. Seeing the childhood treat that I hadn't eaten for a long time, I was stunned at first, then quickly smiled and was about to take it, but the next second, someone forcefully grabbed my wrist and yanked me into a familiar male embrace. Ji Yanchuan, why are you here? My body stiffened, and I was extremely surprised by the man's sudden appearance. However, Ji Yanchuan didn't answer my question. He just kept pulling me forcefully, trying to stuff me into his car. In a hurry, I struggled desperately and instinctively shouted, Brother Mullen. Su Mullen reacted quickly, dropped everything in his hands, and rushed forward to hold my other arm. Seeing this, Ji Yanchuan stared at Su Mullen's hand on me with a look of extreme viciousness I had never seen before, and gritted his teeth. What a brother Mullen. Lin Wan. It's not even a month since we broke up, and you're already daring to cuckold me. Hearing I stared at him in shock and speechless disgust. Are you insane, Ji Yanchuan? What cuckold? What does it have to do with you? Seeing that I kept struggling to get away from him, Ji Yanchuan's face became even darker, like a pool of black water. Lin Wan, I came here today to propose to you formally, so stop throwing your tantrums. If this endless cold war continues, the one who will really get hurt in the end is you. As he spoke, Ji Yanchuan held me tightly with one hand and reached into the pocket of his trousers with the other. Quickly, he fumbled out a heart-shaped box and, with fanatical eyes, opened it in front of me in a self-directed and self-acted way. Unexpectedly, it was empty. Just before I was about to curse him for being crazy, Chenlu got out of the back compartment of the car reluctantly. She took off the huge diamond ring on her ring finger and perfunctorily stuffed it into the heart-shaped box. Then, with an innocent look on her face, she said to me, Sister Lin Wan, I heard that you aborted the child yourself. Oh, how could you be so stupid? My dear sister, brother Yanchuan and I are just soul mates. You're the woman he really loves deeply. You must never be silly enough to let my existence affect your relationship again. What a soul mates. I stared into Ji Yanchuan's eyes for a while, then said in a flat tone, Give me the ring. Hearing me say this, Ji Yanchuan, overjoyed, immediately let go of my hand the moment the man took out the ring and couldn't wait to put it on my ring finger. I directly pulled the ring off, then walked up to Chen Lu, and in a flash, grabbed her neck and forcefully stuffed the ring into her mouth, which never said anything nice. No one expected that I, who was always quiet and gentle, could be so violent and cold-blooded when really angry. Even I myself wondered for a moment if I really wanted to kill Chen Lu. The overly thin Chen Lu's eyes widened so much that her eyeballs seemed about to pop out. But she still couldn't break free from my hand covering her mouth. Ugh, cough, cough, help, help, it stuck, my throat. The terrifying sense of suffocation caused by the sharp foreign object made Chen Lu burst into tears and snot all over her face in no time. To help her get out of danger as soon as possible, I very kindly slapped her hard more than a dozen times with both hands. When her face was swollen and she was dizzy, I kicked her in the stomach. This kick was to avenge her for trying to scare me into having a miscarriage by releasing snakes. Her stomach was kicked purple by my hard knee. Chen Lu, in great pain, broke out in cold sweat all over her face, fell to the ground, and after retching several times with her hair in a mess, she vomited out the diamond ring along with her undigested lunch. Lin Wan, you crazy woman, woo-woo, I'm going to call the police and sue you for physical harm. Chen Lu stared at me viciously, then turned around and, with tears streaming down her face, tried to throw herself into Ji Yanchuan's arms, crying and begging him to call the police for her. But to her surprise, Ji Yanchuan not only frowned and pushed her back to the ground, he also said in a cold tone, complaining that she had dirted the proposal ring he had carefully chosen. Chen Lu was completely stunned, with her ears almost deaf from my slaps. She heard the man humbly flattering me, Lin Wan, I know you're a clean freak. This ring has been contaminated by an irrelevant outsider. You surely won't want it anymore. It doesn't matter. I'll take you to buy a new wedding ring right now. Ji Yanchuan kept talking to himself and reached out to me again. However, this time, Su Molan was one step faster and protected me behind him, saying indifferently, Xiaowan, and you are over. Please don't pester her like a leech and make things difficult for her. Ignoring Su Molan's existence, Ji Yanchuan stared at me without blinking. Lin Wan, come here. Okay, as long as you come here, I can promise you anything. Don't you always want to get married? We can go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get the marriage certificate tomorrow. I took a half step back in disgust. Ji Yanchuan, I'm telling you for the last time, we've broken up. I won't marry you in this life, nor in the next life, nor in the life after that. There's no possibility for us to be together again. Before I finished speaking, Ji Yanchuan came over aggressively, his eyes bloodshot. He grabbed Su Molan's collar and swung his fist viciously. It must be you, this sinister bastard, have been instigating her to break up with me. Su Molan has a black belt in Taekwondo. If it weren't to ensure my absolute safety behind him, he would have already seriously beaten Ji Yanchuan half to death. Seeing that the commotion of the two men fighting together was attracting more and more onlookers feeling annoyed, I couldn't bear it anymore and stood between them. Using all my strength to slap Ji Yanchuan hard, I coldly questioned him, have you had enough? If you've had enough, then get out. The man, whose head was slapped to the side, instantly froze and didn't move. After an unknown amount of time he finally found his voice, and his lips trembling, he asked me, why did you hit me? Lin Wan, can you tell me what exactly I did wrong? Why are you so cruel to me? He really couldn't figure it out. A woman who repeatedly said that as long as he didn't mention breaking up, she would always stay by his side. A woman who coquettishly said she wanted to have many children for him and be buried in the same cemetery after death. How could she say she didn't want him overnight and really abandon him? Facing the man's hoarse and sincere questioning, I just said, Ji Yanchuan, we're not cut from the same cloth. It's that simple. Watching Su Molan take my hand, and I had no resistance, allowing him to lead me away with peace of mind. Ji Yanchuan felt as if his whole heart was being pinched, crushed, and kneaded into a pile of minced meat by an invisible big hand. His eyes were so sore that he couldn't help but shed tears. Lin Wan, Ji Yanchuan called out to me heart-rendingly when I turned around. The always cold and proud man, for the first time, knelt down on both knees, crawled to my feet crying, and begged me in extreme humility, "Don't go. I beg you not to go. You don't know how I've spent these half a month. I'm really almost driven crazy by that home full of memories of our love, Lin Wan. No matter what I see, I'll think of you, Lin Wan. I really know I was wrong. I shouldn't have let you down again and again, and I shouldn't have let other women come into our lives and bully you and humiliate you. I fully understand that all the pain I'm suffering now is what I deserve, self-inflicted. I just beg you to give me one last chance to start over. I swear by my own life that I will change. Enough." I looked down at the man, who was like dust, expressionlessly. Ji Yanchuan. Life isn't a movie, no one gets a chance to start over. Ignoring the man's suddenly desperate and powerless figure, I went home with Su Molan that night. Su Molan had dinner and chatted at my place. He didn't leave until nearly midnight, reluctantly returning to his home next door. 1 month later, on a late-night weekend, I unexpectedly received a strange call. "Hello. This is the emergency department of the Municipal People's Hospital. Your husband, Mr. Ji Yanchuan." Hearing this, I immediately interrupted. "You've got the wrong number. I'm single and have no husband." Seemingly sensing that I was about to hang up, the person on the other end of the phone said hastily, "Here's the situation, ma'am. The only emergency contact number on the patient's phone is yours, so we can only contact you for now. The current situation is that the patient has taken an overdose of sleeping pills and is undergoing gastric lavage treatment in our hospital. His condition is rather urgent, and we need someone to come over. Sorry, I'm busy. I don't have time to waste on people I don't know. Goodbye." Ji Yanchuan didn't believe in ghosts and gods. The message was sent by Su Molan. "Are you hungry? Come up and have some barbecue." 5 minutes later, I went to the rooftop. To my surprise, besides delicious food, the man had also prepared dazzling star-shaped hanging lights and fairy wands that I hadn't played with for a long time. We played around, ate and drank to our heart's content. Before going downstairs, Su Molan looked at the sky and said to me, "The moon is so round tonight." I lowered my eyes, smiled softly, and gently echoed him, "Yes, it's really beautiful. No matter how the seasons change or how time flies, the moon, with its waxing and waning, always hangs high in the sky, just like people who are destined to be together. No matter how many detours they take, they will always meet again." The end.